Polaris scrapped their entire sled lineup to copy it. Arctic Cat rebuilt from the ground up to copy it. Even Yamaha had engineers studying it. And then, Ski-Doo spent the next 20 years slowly dismantling the exact thing that made it great. This isn't about a company dying. Ski-Doo is still the #1 selling snowmobile brand in the world. I will show you what happens when a company gets so obsessed with improving something that they forget what they were trying to improve in the first place. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how that happened. The design flaw nobody talks about in that iconic 2003 sled. The moment the competition looked at the REV and said, "We'll build the same thing, but better." And the number that tells you everything about what the REV has become, a number that should make every old-school rider angry. Stay with me. To understand why the REV mattered, you need to understand what it replaced. The ZRX chassis. That was the MXZ platform going into 2003. And it wasn't bad, it was actually one of the better trail sleds of its era. But of course, there was a fundamental problem. One that every manufacturer had been ignoring for decades, where the riders sat. On every snowmobile built before 2003, your butt sat directly over the rear suspension's rear arm. Your legs stretched forward. Your feet sat at an angle in footwells. You were perched, not planted. The sport had changed. Riders weren't just sitting on sleds. They were standing through corners, using their body weight, managing the machine. More like motocross than the old recreational cruising style that snowmobiles were originally designed for. And not a single manufacturer had designed a sled for that reality. Then a handful of Ski-Doo engineers, who happened to also ride dirt bikes, started asking a question nobody else was asking. Why do we sit so differently on a snowmobile than on a motorcycle? It took them 5 years to answer it. When they pulled the tarp off the REV prototype at the 2002 press reveal, the room didn't cheer. It went quiet, because what people saw didn't look like a snowmobile. It looked like something from a different sport entirely. The rider's position moved 12 inches further forward compared to every conventional design on the market. 12 inches! The engine was pulled back 2.6 inches and dropped 1.25 inches lower in the chassis. The steering post went over the engine instead of behind it. They built a pyramidal frame structure that gave the chassis 6 times the torsional rigidity of the ZX tunnel it replaced, and 80% of the sled's total weight sat within 1 foot of the drive axle. Think about what that means on a trail, in a corner, at 60 miles an hour. That weight distribution didn't just improve handling. It made the REV respond to input in a way that felt physically different from anything else on snow. Snowgoer magazine's editor John Prusak rode the prototype and said it was mind-blowing. That's a quote that still gets repeated 20 years later, because it was accurate. The 2003 MXZ REV launched with the new 600 HO engine. On a dyno, that motor put down 119 horsepower. For a 600 cubic centimeter two-stroke trail sled in 2003, that was serious power. Dealers sold out. Ski-Doo's market share started climbing. Every competitor suddenly had a very expensive problem. Within a year, BRP had gone from chasing the market to owning it. But wait until you hear what was happening underneath that success. Because while dealers were selling out and riders were talking about how the REV changed everything, the engineers were getting calls they didn't want. The first 2003 models came with the 600 HO carbureted engine. Solid engine, good power. Then Ski-Doo went a step further. For 2004, they introduced the SDI, semi-direct injection. The idea: inject fuel more precisely, get better performance, reduce emissions. Put it on the 600 HO, and you've got the most advanced trail two-stroke on the market. Snowgoer gave the 2004 MXZ 600 HO SDI their Snowmobile of the Year award. Out on the trails in the real world, the SDI told a different story. The cold weather starting problems became legendary. Riders would show up at the trailhead at 5 a.m., push the start button, and wait, and wait. The fuel system would lose its prime overnight. The relays, cheap little parts that cost $5 at Napa, would corrode and strand you in the middle of nowhere. In the 2003 and 2004 600s, piston skirts were cracking at 3,500 to 4,000 miles. Not on every sled, but on enough of them that BRP was replacing rings under warranty in 2004. The 2005 and 2006 models developed known wiring harness issues that sometimes took 4 separate shop visits to diagnose. Ironically, the best chassis in the industry was packaged with an engine management system that punished the guys who bought it first. And BRP knew it. Drop a comment right now if you owned an SDI-era REV, because I already know there are guys watching this who could write a short novel about those relay boxes. Meanwhile, the other manufacturers weren't laughing anymore. In 2003, Polaris, Arctic Cat, and Yamaha had all publicly dismissed the REV concept. Too radical, weird ergonomics. Riders won't accept it. Give it a season and it fades. By 2008, they were all in emergency redesign mode because something had happened that nobody publicly predicted. Ski-Doo had climbed to #1 in industry market share on the back of the REV platform, and they held it. Polaris launched the Rush with the Pro Ride chassis in 2011, specifically engineered to compete with the REV XP. Rider forward position, progressive rear suspension, it was good. Arctic Cat unveiled their Procross chassis in 2012. Also rider forward, also a direct answer to everything Ski-Doo had been doing for nearly a decade. Let that sink in for a second. Ski-Doo's 2003 design philosophy was so correct, so proven, so undeniably right, that within 8 years, every major competitor had torn down their platforms and rebuilt them from scratch around the same idea. That doesn't happen without a genuinely transformational product. But this is where the story starts to bend, because while the competition was finally catching up to 2003, Ski-Doo had already moved on. And the direction they moved in is exactly where things start getting complicated. 2008, Ski-Doo launches the REV XP, 50 pounds lighter than the original REV. Better ergonomics, improved rider foot placement, a more forward-driven pulley position for even greater freedom of movement. It was everything the original should have been, and honestly, it was better. As a machine, the REV-XP was genuinely superior, but something subtle happened when that 50 pounds came off. The particular character of the original REV, that planted almost tank-like confidence it gave you in hard corners, softened. The XP was more agile, more flickable, lighter on its feet. Whether that was better depended entirely on who you were and how you rode. The guys who'd been on original REV since 2003 noticed. They didn't always complain about it out loud, but they noticed. And then for 2009, Ski-Doo introduced the upgrade that actually fixed the biggest problem from the SDI era. The 2009 MXZ TNT 600 E-Tech. This was Ski-Doo's introduction of the industry's first true direct injection two-stroke engine. BRP called it a milestone. Pull the rope, one short yank, and the engine lit. No smoke at idle. Fuel economy of around 21 miles per gallon, 15% better than the SDI it replaced. On a 600 cubic centimeter two-stroke, those numbers had no right to exist. The SDI nightmare was over, but the E-Tech introduced something else into the REV platform. Real electronics, full engine management, a battery, software that needed updates, sensors that needed calibration, and that was fine. The E-Tech was genuinely better in every measurable way, but it set a direction. Because once BRP started adding electronics to solve problems, they found it very hard to stop. Don't go anywhere because I'll show you exactly where that ends up. But first, here's where it gets crazy. 2012, the Motion rear suspension, Ski-Doo's direct answer to Polaris's Pro Ride progressive rear suspension. It handled bumps better than the SC5 it replaced. Good system, also heavier, also more complex to tune. 2013, the REV-XS platform, refined ergonomics, better looking, more sculpted styling, more sophisticated. And then 2015, SHOT. That's the starting system that eliminated the pull rope entirely. It used the engine's own magneto to crank it over. No separate starter motor, no pull cord. Push a button, the sled fires. Brilliant concept. Genuinely impressive engineering, but also more electronics. More things that could fail, and they did fail in the first couple of seasons, particularly in cold weather. Keep going. ITC gave riders 3 selectable throttle response modes. The Link accessory system standardized how gear mounts to the sled. Heated seats, GPS options. Then eventually a 10.25-inch touchscreen display on the top-tier models. Every single one of those features is something a rider might want. But here's what nobody said out loud. The original 2003 REV was designed around a specific goal: better ergonomics, more rigidity, easier access to mechanical parts, and weight reduction. That was the design brief, written down. 5 years of engineers building towards simplicity through better engineering. By 2018, a Ski-Doo dealer needed proprietary diagnostic software to explain why your sled threw a fault code. The guy who bought the first REV because he loved how it handled and could work on it himself, he was now buying a machine that needed a laptop to diagnose. If you're angry about where this is going, hit the like button. I'm not done yet. 2017, the 4th generation REV platform. This one honestly is the most defensible upgrade BRP has made. For the first time, the engine and chassis were developed simultaneously. Not the chassis built first, then the engine shoehorned in. BRP created the 850 E-Tech and the Gen 4 frame together as a single system. 849 cubic centimeters twin, 165 horsepower. The narrowest engine block BRP had ever built for a snowmobile, centered in the chassis so precisely that side-to-side weight distribution was exactly 50-50. That's literally obsessive engineering, and the performance numbers sort of proved it. The Gen 4 MXZ 850 was the most capable trail sled Ski-Doo had ever made. The top-of-the-line 2025 MXZ XRS came with semi-active SmartShock suspension, a 10.25-inch touchscreen, and a turbocharged 850 E-Tech Turbo R, making 180 horsepower. 180 horsepower in a trail snowmobile in 2025. Now here's the number I wanted to show you. The 2003 REV MXZ 600HO weighed approximately 423 pounds dry. The 2026 MXZ X850 E-Tech on the Gen 5 platform, the latest generation, dry weight 498 pounds, 75 more pounds. On the 5th generation of a platform that was explicitly designed from day one with weight reduction as one of its core engineering goals. The REV got heavier with every generation while simultaneously becoming more electronically dependent. Yes, of course, the price followed the weight upward. The original REV was competitive with the standard MXZ line when it launched in 2003. A loaded Gen 5 MX today can push past $16,000 before destination and dealer setup. The guy who bought one of the first REVs in 2003 because it was the best value for performance trail sled on the market, he can't buy today's equivalent. Not because the sled isn't impressive, it absolutely is. Because the target customer changed. Let me be direct about what this means practically right now in 2026. If you want the closest thing to the original REV experience on the used market, look at 2009 to 2012 REV XP models with the E-Tech engine. That generation is the sweet spot. The SDI reliability problems are completely gone. You get the XP's lighter weight and better ergonomics. You don't carry the complexity of every subsequent generation. A clean 2010 or 2011 MXZ 600HO E-Tech can still be found for $3,500 to $5,500 depending on condition and miles. Any competent two-stroke tech can service it without a dealer laptop. Parts availability is strong. This is the sled. Second, if you're keeping an older SDI era REV running, the relay box is your first concern. Those are the same relays that were failing on 2005 and 2006 models out on the trail. NAPA Part A, R143, or AR201 replaces them for a few dollars instead of the inflated dealer price. It's not a question of if they go, it's when. Third, the 2003 to 2007 original EREV chassis models with the carbureted 600HO are increasingly good used buys. The engine is simple and well understood. The chassis is the genuine article. Just go in knowing the piston skirts on 2003 and 2004 models need to be verified. If they've been replaced, you're dealing with an honest machine. Lastly, if you're buying new and the Gen 5 price doesn't make you flinch, it's not a bad snowmobile. The 850 E-Tech is the best trail two-stroke in Ski-Doo history. Buy it for what it is today. Not because you're chasing the feeling from a 2005 MXZX 600. That sled doesn't exist anymore at this price point. What was your REV experience? The best ride you ever had on one? Or the worst morning you spent trying to start an SDI at 20 below? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video gave you something real, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more honest snowmobile content. Check out the next video right here.